When an elderly couple faced eviction after 43 years in their home, they made one desperate phone call to their estranged son, not knowing he'd become a high-ranking Hells Angels captain. What happens when a feared motorcycle gang leader confronts the corporate developers trying to force his parents onto the streets? The winter sunlight creeps through thin white curtains in the Parker home. Morning comes slowly here, where the tick of the old wall clock has counted days for over 40 years. Harold Parker, 83, sits at the kitchen table. His hands, twisted with age and years of hard work, wrap around a warm coffee mug. The heat helps with the pain in his fingers. "Did you take your pills this morning?" Edith calls from the living room. At 81, her voice still carries the warmth that made Harold fall in love all those years ago. "Yes, dear," Harold answers, though he hasn't yet. He'll take them after breakfast. No need to worry her. Their home isn't fancy. The wallpaper in the kitchen has faded where the sun hits it most. The carpet shows paths where they walk each day. But every corner holds a memory. Above the fireplace hang photos of their life together. Their wedding day, Harold in his Navy uniform, and dozens of pictures of their son Michael growing up. "Look at this one," Edith often says, pointing to a photo of a young boy with a big smile missing 2 front teeth. "Remember when Michael lost those teeth trying to jump his bike over that cardboard ramp?" They both smile at the memory, though it stings a little too. Michael doesn't visit much anymore. Christmas cards come, and sometimes he calls on birthdays. They don't know much about his life now, just that he moved to the city and rides motorcycles. Harold shuffles to the window, looking out at the street where Michael once played. Their street has changed. New families have moved in. Homes have been fixed up. Rent has gone up too, but they manage with their social security checks. "We're lucky," Harold often tells Edith. "We still have our home when many our age don't." Their landlord, Mr. Wilson, has been good to them for decades. He never raises the rent much, knowing they live on fixed money. They've never missed a payment, not even when Harold got sick 5 years ago and the hospital bills piled up. Edith waters her plants on the windowsill, tiny green sprouts that she talks to each morning. "You're doing so well today," she whispers to a small tomato plant. Next to her plants sits a framed photo of Michael in his high school graduation cap and gown. Sometimes she dusts it and wonders what he looks like now. It's been 3 years since they've seen him in person. The mailbox creaks as Harold checks it after lunch, like he does every day at 1 o'clock. Bills, ads, and a white envelope with official-looking print. His heart skips when he sees the return address, Wilson Property Management. Back inside, he sits heavily at the kitchen table. "What is it?" Edith asks, seeing his face. "A letter from Mr. Wilson." Harold's fingers tremble as he opens it carefully. Edith stands behind him, her hand on his shoulder as they read together. Their eyes move slowly across words that make no sense at first: property sold, new development, 60 days notice. "This can't be right," Edith whispers. But the paper in Harold's shaking hands says it is. After 43 years, they need to leave their home in just 2 months. That night, sleep won't come for Harold and Edith. The soft whir of the ceiling fan fills their dark bedroom, but their minds are too loud with worry. Harold stares at the shadows on the ceiling, thinking about the first day they moved into this house. Michael was just a baby then, crying in Edith's arms as Harold carried boxes through the front door. "What are we going to do?" Edith asks into the darkness. Her voice sounds small, like a child's. Harold reaches for her hand under the blanket. "We'll figure it out," he says, but his words feel empty. The truth sits heavy between them. Their fixed income won't get them much in today's world. Rents have gone up all over town. Most places want first and last month's rent plus a big deposit. They've saved a little, but not enough. Morning light brings no answers. Edith moves slowly around the kitchen, making toast she doesn't eat. Harold sits at the table with the newspaper open to rental ads, but the prices make his stomach hurt. Everything costs 3 times what they pay now. "Maybe we could stay with my sister for a while," Edith suggests, but they both know her sister's tiny 1-bedroom apartment has no room for them. And at their age, they need their own space, their own things around them. Later that day, Harold walks through their home, touching things as if to memorize them. The notches on the kitchen doorframe marking Michael's height through the years. The small crack in the living room ceiling from when a branch fell during a storm 10 years ago. The worn spot on the porch rail where he rests his hand each morning to watch the sunrise. In the spare room, Edith opens a box of keepsakes. She lifts out a small blue baby shoe. "I can't bear to leave these things behind," she whispers. "Where would we put it all?" The thought of sorting through 43 years of memories, deciding what to keep and what to throw away, makes her hands shake. That evening, they sit at the kitchen table with a stack of bills and their checkbook. Harold writes numbers on a pad of paper, crossing some out, adding others. No matter how he works the math, the answer is the same. They can't afford what's out there. "We've never asked for help," Harold says, his pride fighting against their need. "Never took handouts." Edith looks at the phone on the wall. "There's Michael," she says quietly. Harold shakes his head. "He has his own life. We haven't even seen him in years." But that night, as Harold sleeps fitfully beside her, Edith slips out of bed. The kitchen floor is cold under her bare feet as she takes the phone off the wall hook. She finds Michael's number in the small address book she keeps by the phone. Her finger hovers over the buttons, remembering how their last call ended with tense silence after Harold commented on Michael's lifestyle choices. The phone rings 4 times before he picks up. His voice sounds deeper than she remembers, rougher around the edges. "Mom? Is everything okay? It's midnight." Edith's voice catches in her throat. "Michael, we need your help," she finally says, the words hard to speak aloud. "They're making us leave our home." 3 days after Edith's late-night call, a sleek black car pulls up in front of the Parker home. 2 men in matching gray suits step out, carrying leather folders and shiny pens. Harold watches from the window, his stomach in knots. "They are here," he tells Edith, who smooths her dress with trembling hands. The men knock with sharp, quick taps. Harold opens the door, trying to stand tall despite the pain in his back. "Mr. and Mrs. Parker? I'm David Wells from Sunrise Development," says the taller man with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "We purchased this property from Mr. Wilson. May we come in?" Harold leads them to the living room where Edith has set out cookies no one will eat. The men sit on the edge of the sofa, looking out of place among the old, worn furniture. "We understand this is difficult," says the second man, opening his folder. "But the building plans are already approved. We're offering a $500 moving allowance to help with your transition." Edith's eyes fill with tears. "But where will we go?" The men exchange quick glances. There are many fine senior living facilities. A deep rumble cuts through the air outside, the sound of a motorcycle engine growing louder, then stopping right in front of the house. More engines join it, like thunder rolling in. The front door opens without a knock. Everyone turns. A tall man fills the doorway, broad shoulders, dark beard streaked with gray, weathered face, and eyes exactly like Harold's. His leather vest bears patches and a name, Hell's Angels. Beneath that, another patch reads, Captain Michael. Edith whispers, hardly recognizing her son. Michael's hard gaze moves over the room, settling on the 2 men from Sunrise Development. "So these are the people trying to kick my parents out." His voice is low and calm, which somehow makes it more frightening. The taller developer stands, extending his hand. "Mr. Parker, I presume? We're simply following through on a legal property sale." Michael doesn't take the offered hand. Instead, he moves to stand behind his parents' chairs, one heavy hand resting on each of their shoulders. "Let me tell you how this is going to work," Michael says. "My parents have lived here for 43 years. They've never missed a rent payment. They're going to keep living here." The second developer clears his throat. The decision isn't really open for. A shadow crosses the window as another figure appears at the door, a man even larger than Michael, with a full beard and arms covered in tattoos. "Everything okay in here, Captain?" the man asks, his eyes never leaving the developers. Michael nods slightly. "Just explaining to these gentlemen about family values." The developer's face pales as he glances outside. Through the window, he can see at least 6 more motorcycles parked along the curb, their riders standing beside them, arms crossed. My brothers and I, Michael continues, gesturing toward the window, we take care of our own. We're also very interested in community safety. The words hang in the air like a storm cloud. I'd hate to see anything happen to your nice new building project. The developers exchange nervous looks. Papers are gathered quickly, folders snapped shut. Perhaps we could revisit this situation. The taller one says, voice higher than before. There may be alternatives we haven't explored. Michael smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. I knew you'd be reasonable businessmen. My friends and I will be checking in regularly to make sure my parents are comfortable and undisturbed. When the developers hurry to their car, the street is lined with leather-vested men watching silently as they drive away. 1 week later, a different letter arrives at the Parker home. Harold's hands shake less this time as he opens it, with Edith and Michael standing close by. Inside is a new agreement. The Parkers can stay in their home for as long as they wish, at the same rent they've always paid. The paper even promises repairs to the old roof and plumbing that Mr. Wilson had put off fixing. They came around to seeing things our way, Michael says with a small smile. He doesn't mention the 3 visits he paid to the Sunrise Development office, or how his club brothers took turns driving slowly past the CEO's house for days. Harold looks at his son, this stranger with hard eyes who somehow still has the same laugh lines around his mouth from when he was a boy. 20 years have passed since Michael left home after the big fight about the motorcycle, about the friends Harold called no good, about the path Michael was choosing. Thank you, Harold says simply, the words carrying the weight of all the things left unsaid between them. The next Sunday, the quiet street where the Parkers live wakes to the rumble of motorcycles. Neighbors peek through curtains as 5 large men in leather vests park their bikes and follow Michael up the walkway to the Parker home. Inside, Edith has been cooking since dawn. A ham, mashed potatoes, 3 kinds of pie. Her hands still work well for cooking, even when they ache. The table that has sat mostly empty for years is now full. Mrs. Parker, these are the best potatoes I've ever had, says one of Michael's friends, a man with a grey beard and gentle eyes despite his rough appearance. Harold watches as his son laughs with these men, seeing how they respect him, how they listen when he speaks. Maybe they aren't what Harold expected for his son, but they came when Michael needed them. They stood for family when it mattered. As weeks pass, Sunday dinners become a regular thing. Neighbors stop peeking through curtains and start waving when the motorcycles arrive. Some even bring over cookies or ask for help with heavy lifting or car problems that the men are happy to fix. One warm evening, Harold and Edith sit on their porch swing, watching the sunset paint the sky pink and orange. Michael's weekly call came earlier. He'll be by on Sunday with a few friends to fix the broken step and clean the gutters. Never thought I'd be grateful for those motorcycles, Harold says, his hand finding Edith's as they sway gently. I used to hate the noise. Edith smiles. People can surprise you. Through their front window, they can see the wall of family photos. Their wedding, Harold's Navy days, Michael's childhood, and now, a new picture. Michael and his club brothers standing around Harold on his birthday last month, everyone smiling. The porch swing creaks as they rock, a sound as familiar as their own heartbeats. Inside, the rooms hold their memories. The mark on the wall where Michael once threw a baseball. The burn on the counter from when Edith forgot about the kettle. The loose floorboard in the hallway that always squeaks no matter how many times Harold tries to fix it. As darkness falls and lights come on in windows up and down the street, Harold squeezes Edith's hand. This is still our home, he says softly. It always will be, she answers, resting her head on his shoulder. The night air carries the scent of Edith's roses and the promise of more Sunday dinners to come. More chances to rebuild what was lost. More time in the place where their hearts have lived for 43 years, and will for many more.